You're very welcome along to the Shot Clock. It is where we put the Laurel and Hardy of sports broadcasting up against one another. It is Ger Gilroy against Kieran Donaghy. We've got three topics of debate. We've got Kieran's free throw, where he's going to talk about Kobe Bryant, and then we've got our picks. We're going to keep track of the winners of the debates, the winners of the picks all throughout the year, and then a big forfeit coming at the end of the year. More on that later. We're getting right into it with this man, David Clifford. David Clifford versus the Fields for Player of the Year. Are you having it, Kieran Donaghy?
Yeah, I certainly think he has that chance to do that. He has every skill set. I think there's still some areas he needs to work on. I think over his head is somewhere he needs to work on. But just seeing him the last day with all the pressure on his shoulders, captain of Kerry, his first day out over his 21st birthday, the goal was unbelievable. He's going to be a massive leader for Kerry in the dressing room. I think the Kerry fans are going to respond even more to him being our captain. And I think for a player of his size, he's got such power, such pace. The skill level is obviously ridiculous. He's the best long-range kicker of a ball that I've ever seen in person. So I think that's a huge benefit for Kerry, that he can go out 40, 50 yards from goal and kick points to win games if he's getting double-teamed inside. So I think he's the complete package, and whether he's Player of the Year or not, I think he's certainly going to be a massive player for Kerry this year, but I think he is the most kind of destructive forward in the game.
Player of the Year. Is it going to be David Clifford?
He's favourite.
11-2.
Yeah, he's favourite for a reason. He can. But the Player of the Year will go to who's the most successful team. So I think that's more on David Clifford's point of view, that he'd be on the most successful team. If he's on the most successful team, Kerry win the All-Ireland, yeah, David Clifford will be Player of the Year.
Look, I think that's guaranteed. If Kerry win the All-Ireland, he's 100% going to be the Player of the Year. I actually think he's got a really good chance of being Player of the Year, even if they don't win the All-Ireland, because we're going to see him up against the Dubs in the Super 8s. We're going to see, like, already in the league, we're seeing him do miraculous things where he is the captain and there's so much pressure on him. We know that that's happening already. So I think there's a really good chance he should be further ahead in the Player of the Year stakes. I think Brian Fenton, I'm taking the field here because it's a good opportunity for me to talk about Brian Fenton and Jack McCaffrey and maybe Con. I think the couple of months that Con's going to miss at the start of the year, it's going to be difficult for him to claw back the ground, because week on week on week, we're going to see Clifford doing this. Bouncing the ball with his left hand, bouncing the ball with his right hand.
The Player of the Year is picked in the last 4 or 5 games of the season, so don't worry about Con whenever he misses during the league.
Should be. I agree. I'm blowing smoke up your hole here, but I thought you should have been Player of the Year when you come off the bench in the semi-final and saved the season for Kerry. I think that's exactly what should happen. Those games should be weighted with super extra bonus points, but he's so far ahead, I think, at this stage, that after one game... I remember Niall Quinn doing commentary of an Ireland a match where Damien Duff got the ball in the first minute and a half, dribbled past 4 players and went, this is the first time in recorded history that somebody's won man of the match in the first 5 minutes. I think there's a good chance that Clifford is already Player of the Year and might be on backlog.
Nobody will remember David Clifford's point late in the league against Dublin.
The goal is like...
They won't remember the goal. Trust me, it's league. It's huge now because it's right fresh in our memories. But once championship comes, once
he's going to do it again. That's the thing.
Well, if he does, that's a different story. But nobody remembered this time of year. Trust me.
Yeah, I know. Look, I just think that it's great that we have somebody like Clifford, because the whole country is going to want to tune in to every single match.
Shot clock is playing, by the way. 15 seconds.
At the same time, Brian Fenton was sensational last week. I think he's got a good chance. I think James McCarthy's got a good chance.
I thought we were talking about the most destructive forwards in the country.
I know. I had to change it. I had to change it because it was too easy.
Yeah, Kieran wasn't told about it. It's obviously
look, I'm surrounded
under pressure. I'm being flanked by Kildare and Meath guys here.
Kerry Mafia.
Clearly, we're taking James Donaghy's 2014 All-Star away from him, but I'm going to give that point to Ger. I know he stabbed you in the back there a little bit, Kieran. On to the next one, straight into the rugby. Big scrum half decision. Big scrum half decision this weekend. It is Conor Murray starting ahead of John Cooney. Ger, is this a missed opportunity for Ireland?
Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity just in terms of putting out that signal to everybody that nobody is untouchable. I think there's probably a case to be made that Conor Murray is the right choice for this game, given that it's Andy Farrell's first game and that we now know that the draw is going to be made for the World Cup this November, and so ranking points are all of a sudden. So that just feeds into the decision to make it. It just seems a little bit conservative when you do have a player who's playing explosively at the moment, who is a try-scoring machine for Ulster, and the message that it sends out to everybody else is that you can get into this team by playing really well for 6 months, and so that we're going to pick on the basis of what we see as opposed to what you've done on your track record, because it just means then in some cases it's going to be harder to get out of the team than it is to get into the team. I think it would have sent a message to everybody else. Maybe by not picking Peter O'Mahony, he thinks that message has been sent, but I'm just not sure. I think there was a chance here to go, right, Conor Murray is clearly one of the best players in our squad. He's going to be on the bench and we completely trust him. But if after 60 minutes Murray gets tired or injured and Sexton's gone off, then suddenly we have a very inexperienced half-back partnership coming off the bench. We didn't mix and match the fact that we have the 2 experienced guys on at the start. The 2 experienced guys are going to go off more than likely at around about the same time, unless you force them both to play the full game. So I just thought there was a chance there. I know there's probably a connection between Caelan Doris being a new cap at 8
is going to be. He doesn't want the inexperienced.
Yeah, but like, how much is that relationship with the scrum half as important? Like, so for each scrum it's vital, but for the rest of the game, I just thought it was a chance. Get him in, put that sign out, shot across everybody's bows. No sacred cows here. And away we go.
I think he's done that with his. I think Farrell has done that with his selection. There is a few kind of calls that are surprising, we'll say, that guys are starting. But I would go, look, it's not too long ago that Sexton and Murray were the best half-back partnership in the world. That was being rightly said. The 2 boys are unbelievable players, 2 huge leaders. We've got 5 new guys in. You go with your guys that you can trust. Plus, I think COONEY coming on when the game is spread and the game is open. I think he can be more effective with his kicks in behind. I think he can bring that bit of trickery when guys are a bit tired and don't see it coming. But I think you go with your experience, you go with your Conor Murray, you go with your line partnership in Sexton and Murray, and I think those guys will be really looking forward to. They've had an injury ravaged 12 months. They've been in, they've been out, they've been trying to get right for the World Cup, and I think you go with them and you try and build from here. And you bring COONEY in. He's 30. He's not a young fella, so he is going to have to bide his time. So I think him coming on. When the game is open, it will be much better for Ireland. I think you have to go with Murray and Sexton for experience, for leadership, and they're 2 brilliant players, they're 2 world-class players. You just go with them.
We're going to hammer Scotland. You'll see in my prediction a little bit later. We are going to hammer Scotland this weekend. Scotland are a rabble. Their best player was drinking late at night, gets sent home. Like it's been a completely disastrous.
It's going to go 2 ways. I've been on teams where they get rid of the guy drinking and it goes horribly wrong on the pitch. But I've seen it happen where you get rid of guys and they come back and be.
Didn't you guys let the lads who were drinking come back though? And because that was their. It isn't actually.
I wasn't talking about that instance. There was other time. Every story doesn't get out of Kerry. So there was times where fellas did do something wrong where they were dropped out. Yeah, right. and it didn't get out there. But
did you win the All Ireland when the lads went drinking and you brought them back?
Yes.
But they missed the Antrim game, did they?
They did. They missed the game.
So
they missed the game that we were losing with about 10 minutes to go and had to kind of really dig it out.
Your team, Conor Murray. Your team, John Cooney. One last pitch, 22 seconds.
I think we're going to kill Scotland, and I think it would have been a great opportunity to get COONEY into the game and pick Murray next week so that there's like a proper battle. We've clearly established now what the hierarchy is, and COONEY can't displace him through form or playing.
I think the game is going to be tight, and I think COONEY could come in when the game is just starting to open up and really express themselves and further add pressure onto Murray, but you still go with Murray because he's still your guy.
Take the point, Kieran. Respect for Scotland. We're all about respect this morning here on the Shot Clock. Moving on to the next one. It is about the advanced mark. Simple as this. Kieran Donaghy, do we get rid of this?
No, I don't think we get rid of it right now. I think you have to let it play out. I think it needs tweaking. There's no doubt about it. The GAA are going to have to look at it. They're going to have to tweak it. I think some of the marks that we saw last week aren't what this rule was brought in for. I think this rule was brought in to encourage what the fan in the stands loves to see. The fan that's sitting holding on to the edge of his seat when that high 50-yard ball goes in around the house and you've guys going up competing for it in the air. Not always big guys. You saw great catches last year from Conor Callaghan. Just putting the ball in, I think it brings a level of excitement to the GAA. We see it in the hurling. What's so exciting about the hurling? 50-50 balls going in around the house. Guys fighting on their lives to win it. That's what we want in the GAA. That's what I felt the mark was brought in for, to put these long balls in. The 20-metre has to be gotten rid of. It's not enough pressure. It's not a long enough kick. It can be a dinky pass. Is the 20 from when the kick happens to when the guy starts his run. But if you're running towards a guy like Michael Murphy was last year and there's a guy running towards you and he kicks it, by the time that ball's in the air, it's only really in the air for about 12, 13 yards. So I think they have to open it out, maybe 35 yards, maybe 40 yards, to really open it out to launching a ball in around the house.
That's so you're out with the current rule?
Yeah,
I'm out with the current. I'm out with the current rule, but it just needs tweaking. I'm still allowing the mark. If the mark was a long ball in around the house, a 40 or 35 yard kick makes it easier for refs. It really makes it a long kick. They don't have to be worried. Was it 32 yards? Was it 37 yards? It was a long ball in around the house, and I think that's what the mark was brought in for. And I think we'd see more of that. We'd see teams going early, long, direct. Saw a bit of Armagh last week. They used it well, long balls in. Didn't always mark it, but just in around the house. There's goals to be got. I was in there for a long time with Kerry. Goals happen. You don't have to catch it. It can be broken out from you. But I think that's why the mark was in. The black card, I've had my say in the black card. It's rubbish, and it's not going to be able to be officiated at lower levels all around the country. It's going to cause absolute chaos. Bring in the 50-metre rule. Fast, simple, easy, effective rule to bring in would make the game so much better. Get rid of all the cynical play, get rid of the time wasting that we're seeing. Looking at the Sigerson game last night, guys down to a black card, keepers rolling around place, players holding onto their heads. What's a concussion, what's not a concussion? It's going to be an absolute shit show when it comes to the summer with the black card, and definitely down at club level. So,
but is it better than the old black card?
We've enough cards, red and yellow. We're taking rules from the Aussie rules. They've no cards. It's the most hard-hitting, straight-up men's game that you've ever played in your life. The referee has no cards. They deal with all the bullshit in a review on a Monday morning. We don't need all these cards. They're an absolute joke. Get rid of them, bring in the 50-metre rule. But I would keep the experiment of the long ball mark, but tweak it for the championship by extending it to 35, maybe 40 yards.
Well, what do you think of that, Ger Gilroy?
I think Kieran Donaghy's made my point. The rules need to go. That's like a little tweak. It's a massive tweak. Why don't we just
massive? Why don't we make it an extra 20 yards?
Well, why don't we just play on an oval pitch and draw new circles, having exclusion zones, and get rid of the small large parallelogram
and the high ball?
Have points of size and
people call it a turnover. Guys won't kick the ball in. Fellas don't want to mark against their stat at the end of the game. Oh, you 3 turnovers. Yeah, I was trying to kick 3 high balls, good balls in around the house to a one-on-one. Can I not kick them anymore? It's something that we need back in the game. We wanted to get the high fielding back in the game from the kick-out. I think the mark has worked in that respect. Teams are going longer more. I think they're getting rewarded for catching the ball out around the middle of the field. If you could catch a ball around the middle of the field and Dave Moran can turn and kick it 50 yards and then top of Walsh, inside and top of Tommy Walsh.
You won't be allowed to do that. Can't catch him. Can't have a mark off a mark. They're saying.
Just hand past somebody else. Let them kick it in.
Exactly. But so I think that those rules do all need to be changed, because you should be able to do that if that was something that.
Do you take the mark away from the kick out?
No, leave the mark at the kick
out. The mark's okay from the kick out. All right.
And well, I mean, I would have no.
Is that encouraging teams to put it out there?
I would suggest.
So would it encourage teams to put it in around the house?
And yeah, grand.
Yeah, Shot Clock's live.
But that's not the rules. The rules are you can just chip the ball to the edge of the 40 from basically the midfield.
That's
from the throw, and you chip the ball. Throw that rule out. You're essentially saying.
Tweak the rule.
I mean, look, I agree. Change the rules. Point for me.
What about the black card?
I would say you're right about get rid of the black card and just have a yellow card and make the yellow card 10-minute sin bin and make all offences, all yellow card offences go 10-minute sin bin.
If you're going to do the sin bin,
I'm hearing a lot of derogatory.
If you're going to do the sin bin, you got to do the rugby thing where every time someone goes down injured, clock stops, and the sin bin stops and everything.
You were on about this maintaining for the club game, so I guess that is an easier one to do as well. I'm hearing a lot of shouting here and a lot of agreement.
Point for me.
No, actually,
what are you talking about?
I think Kieran's actually spoken at length and actually brought a lot more ideas to the table.
Yeah.
This is what happens on the Shot Clock when you both end up melding together in your points of view. And the person who talks the loudest and shouts the loudest wins. It's a lesson for life.
The saddest
Congratulations,
thing is,
Kieran Donaghy, debate winner. Can it actually
be stopped? Can the GAA actually say, do you know what, we're going to change it. We don't have to put anything to Congress. Can we be big boys and say, this is the changes we need to make for our game? I don't know.
Right, that is the end of the debate section of the Shot Clock this morning. Kieran Donaghy edging up. We need something better next week, lads. Like, you're agreeing on way too much. Free throw time.
But we can agree on some things. It doesn't have to be always a big fight.
We're getting on to the free throw section, which is the point where Kieran's going to be allowed to talk about whatever he wants for a prolonged period of time. I presume it's Kobe this week.
It's going to change. Sometimes we're going to have people on. It's just a free slot we're going to have. But I'd like Jared to kick in on this with his thoughts. Yeah, it's on Kobe's legacy. I think we've talked, and I was on during the week, and you've covered it very well. But I think it's Kobe's legacy. He is gone. It is extremely sad. His daughter Gigi, it's horrific. But I think Kobe's legacy on the game is he was the first superstar to really take younger guys under his wing. It naturally happened when the 2008 Olympic squad was in there. But he didn't just do it for the squad. He could have just done it when he was in the squad and they could have been like, oh yeah, Kobe's great. But he kept up that relationship. He worked out with guys in the summer. He tried to improve guys. But I think most importantly what he showed guys was his Mamba mentality. How you do it, how you become great, how you carry yourself when you're in the NBA as a player. I think the great story when he was playing against the Miami Heat and Dwayne Wade was hitting his wrist as he was trying to shoot, and Kobe missed a lot of shots that night. And an hour after the game finished and he iced his knees, he put back on his gear, he grabbed one of the assistant coaches, took them outside, and for 2 hours had this guy hitting his elbow as he was shooting. He wanted to make shots. He didn't want that to affect his team losing a game anymore if it happened. The fact that he went to that length as that's happening when he's 2 hours after the game sweating, kind of late in his career, Kobe and LeBron come out of the members club in Miami, the Cigar Club, I think it's called. The two boys come out and look down on their floor in Miami, and there is the legendary Kobe Bryant with another sweat up, 2 o'clock in the morning, inside in their gym working. The boys said, hold on a minute, the Mamba mentality, we got to show him that we're at the same thing. Boys, take off their clothes, go back downstairs, put on the basketball gear and get out and start shooting. And I think that's what he showed them, how to do that. And I think the other legacy he'll leave is what, you know, how to be a father. And I think these guys, you know, you see the way they're doing such a great job, you know, and I know they're really positive influences on their own kids and their kids around them. But I think Kobe was the guy who kind of kicked that off on how to be, and obviously him retiring a bit earlier helped that. But just that's a huge thing that he's done as well. He's shown these guys and he's talked to these guys about how to make sure that their kids have the best chance, how to help them through it. And I think the work he did with his daughters is amazing. That's the saddest part. I think as a dad, your dream would be to see your 4 girls up the aisle. Kobe won't get the chance to do that, and that's one of the great travesties of all this. But I think as a guy who transitioned the game and the way he went into his business life, the way he showed these guys that when you retire, this is what you need to be able to do. He was as busy as ever. He kept it all going, and I think he's a huge loss. He's a huge loss to the league, and he's a huge loss to basketball worldwide. Basketball Ireland have done a great thing. A minute silence before every game in Ireland this week up until Sunday, which is just the tribute that Kobe deserves, and it shows you his influence of all these young people. And Jordan was my guy because I'm a bit older, but all these younger kids, it was Kobe was their guy. Kobe was their guy. He was the influence, got them shooting every night, you know, out in the cold rain in Ireland, a lot of outdoor basketball, and he was the guy who got guys up every morning, every evening to shoot. He was the guy that showed them. And if you are a young sports person at any sport you're doing and you want to become great, check out his book, The Mamba Mentality, because there's stuff inside in that is really, even me this week have tweaked a few things about how I'm going about things, and I think that's how powerful his legacy is. Why does Jordan not have that legacy? What's the... I think Mike was just such an unbelievable player, and yeah, he had little words here with there with Kobe when he was a kid, but he kept a lot of his secrets to himself. He kept a lot of his game to himself, and he was just, you know, he wanted to go. He went about things differently. There's no doubt about it than Kobe did. Kobe really took on the mantle of meeting LeBron in the off season, meeting Kevin Durant, meeting Chris Paul. They were friends, of course, from their team, but it was always around the workout. It was always around how to get better. And I think that's why all these guys loved him so much, and that's why that when this happened, certain guys couldn't play, certain guys couldn't even talk, because of the father figure effect he had on that group of players. And it was a great thing to do, and it should be happening maybe in more sports, that these brilliant players that finish show the younger guys how's the right way to do it. Well said, Kieran. On to the predictions. Rapid fire picks this week, and we're starting with the Six Nations. Ireland against Scotland. I want a score prediction. Ger?
Ireland 33, Scotland 10. We're going to hammer them. 23-point
win for the Irish there.
I'll go 24-14.
24-14, so not as confident. Not going to beat the spread, according to Kieran. On to Dublin against Mayo. Dublin at Mayo, I should really say. Kieran, what are you looking at from this one?
I'm looking at Dublin by 3. I just think they're just at a level. And looking at Mayo last week, you know, they were quite lucky above against... No, they worked really well. They played unbelievable in the last 4 or 5 minutes. But I would say Dublin... And Dublin struggle sometimes in Castlebar, so it will be a great game, but just Dublin to pull away in the end.
Mayo 115, Dublin 114. For the first time since 2012, Mayo are going to get a victory against the Dubs.
That is outrageous.
Why
Absolutely
outrageous? Why?
Outrageous.
No, what? Why?
First time. I just think that I think that's a bit out there. I think, like, are we just not taking? Are we not giving Dublin any credit for their performance last week as well? They were also brilliant last week. Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers. Your beloved Niners, are they going to do the job?
Niners haven't lost a game by more than a single score this year. I think Patrick Mahomes is the greatest athlete in the world at the moment. He's playing at a level that is as good as whenever Leo Messi was at his absolute best. He's playing at he's playing at a Kobe level, he's playing at a Michael Jordan level. There's just an awareness of everything that's going on around him that you very rarely see. He's as in the zone right now as any athlete I've ever seen in any sport, as long as I've been watching sport. And so I think Patrick Mahomes is going to drive the Kansas City Chiefs to a one-score victory. 34-31 is my prediction.
Kieran?
I'm going to take the Niners, just about. I just think defence wins Super Bowls. I think the Niners are slightly better on defence. even though Mahomes is, as Ger rightly points out, absolutely on fire, the most lethal weapon in the game right now. But Super Bowls can be funny. It's a serious pressure game. The whole world watches it. One or two bad passes, one or two picks. Bosa coming off the edge, nailing them once or twice early could just put the scare tactics on him. So it's I think the Niners might just eke it out, but I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls in years. Really high scoring, and yeah, Jimmy G to get it done. He also has 2 rings in his back pocket, so might make it easier when you're trying to get that third. He has them too. He wants to get one, being the man out there. He only threw, I think it was 8 or 10 times last week, so don't be surprised that he comes out and throws a few early and really opens up the run game late on.
Any tickets, Kieran?
I'm working on them. JK, shout out to JK.
Good stuff. Should be a fantastic game. That is the end of the Shot Clock this week. We want to hear from you. What should the forfeit be for the person who loses this year's Shot Clock?
You have plans, apparently. What is this?
We have plans, but I want to hear what the people say. Tweet us at Off the Ball, tweet Kieran or Jared.
If you're going to fix it every week, that's...
I guess this week it was just down to the fact that you spoke more, Kieran. It was just a poor affair all around.
I spoke more sense, I think.
I spoke more sense, potentially. I don't know.
That's hard.
Speaking more.
Louder
is better in the Shot Clock.
My esteemed colleague, it's hard to speak more sense than him because he's just so intelligent and so smart in everything he does.
We will see how the picks go as well next week.
For that.
We're going to be back in a moment with Tom Malone. Before that, here is Brian O'Driscoll talking about the Ireland mentality.